Did you know that while NASA's latest flagship telescope, the James Webb Space Telescope, is still in its early years of scientific discoveries, the agency has started planning the succession ceremony for the next space observatory as we speak? And it's not just the building that has started. Rather, the next mission for the successor has been determined by NASA as well. Without a dedicated budget, according to Mark Clampin, the director of NASA's astrophysics division, who will announce the news during a presentation on Monday, January 9th, has said that although the agency, as of now, cannot make much headway on the design and technology, it does have a working name for the telescope. For now, it will be known as the Habitable Worlds Observatory, or HWO. But what is this Habitable World Observatory designed for? Who suggested that it should be built? And what makes it different from the acclaimed James Webb Space Telescope that has taken the world of astronomy by storm? If you're curious to find out, then watch this video to the end. Also, if you want to know the latest news on the James Webb Space Telescope, NASA news, and other space updates, click the like and subscribe buttons. Without further ado, let's jump right in. So, coming to the point, NASA's team of astronomers has started to look out for the next big thing that could change what we know about the spatial dimension beyond our own. For instance, just this week, a meeting conducted by the American Astronomical Society saw researchers pack into a conference room to hear about the successor of the acclaimed space observatory, the 6.5-meter James Webb Space Telescope that began operations last year. Although the JWST has been more successful than NASA could have ever believed it to be, as with everything else, NASA believes that it is now the time for the JWST to hand over the throne to its successor. NASA is now planning to launch an optical telescope that will be just as big as the James Webb Space Telescope, but with a brand new goal: looking for signs of life on Earth-like planets, perhaps by the early 2040s. According to Clampin, the telescope will, like the James Webb Space Telescope, be perched at L2, a gravitational balance point 1.5 million kilometers away from Earth. One thing that sets this telescope apart from its predecessor is that, unlike JWST, it will be designed for robotic servicing and upgrades, which could enable it to operate for decades, getting better with age. Hats off to NASA. Detailing his excitement, John O'Mara, chief scientist of the WM Keck Observatory, has said, "I'm really excited to see it actually happening." And Aki Robergi of NASA's Goddard Space Flight Center has also added that the serviceability will be huge and will essentially create a mountaintop observatory at L2, because no doubt that it is actually the instruments that make a difference. Interestingly, did you also know that NASA's HWO is partially a result of following through on the top priority of astronomy's decadal survey and a community-led wish list that guides funding agencies and lawmakers? The decadal survey specified that the telescope, in addition to doing general astrophysics, must be capable of detecting signs of life on 25 nearby Earth-like exoplanets, with the minimum needed to confirm statistically whether life is common in the galaxy. The survey's final report, published in November 2021, called on NASA to resurrect its Great Observatories program, which launched the Hubble Space Telescope and several others in the 1990s and early 2000s. The report also specified that the demand by the people was that an $11 billion 6-meter telescope sensitive to ultraviolet, optical, and near-infrared wavelengths should kick off a new Great Observatories program. And that is exactly what NASA is aiming to do. And if you didn't know, NASA, as a result of the decadal survey, has this next big innovation that would no doubt revolutionize our knowledge about space. But there was a problem that the decadal report called out for. What is that problem? Well, according to the decadal report, it demands that NASA should come up with an invention that falls between two of the proposals, the Hatbox and the LUVOIR, it should avoid the struggles and complications that were part of the James Webb Space Telescope's launch. For instance, HAB-X relies on a 4-meter monolithic mirror as well as a robotic starshade, floating more than 100,000 kilometers away to screen out the light of an exoplanet star so the planet could be seen. LUVOIR, on the other hand, was designed more as a multi-purpose observatory and was built on James Webb Space Telescope's segmented mirror technology. The HWO is aiming to combine these and add a few more features as well. For instance, for the new telescope, NASA will take advantage of technologies already developed or in development, including segmented mirrors, just like the ones used on the James Webb Space Telescope, and the Roman Observatory's chronograph, an optical device within the telescope that blocks the light of a star so that faint exoplanets nearby can be seen. Moreover, because the HWO will work with optical light, which has shorter wavelengths than the infrared light that James Webb Space Telescope captures, the HWO will be endowed with much tighter control over the shape of the mirror than James Webb Space Telescope. The HWO will also have to improve on the Roman telescope's coronagraph, which can block out light of a star up to 100 million times brighter than its planet. One of the reasons for this upgrade is that the HWO's coronagraph needs to cope with stars that are 10 billion times brighter, and as a result, the HWO needs to suppress the stray light. NASA scientists have therefore decided to ensure a cylindrical baffle around the HWO, similar to the one surrounding the Hubble Space Telescope, as they believe this will protect the HWO's mirror from micrometeorites of the sort that have already struck James Webb Space Telescope, which will ensure that the findings by the telescope are more accurate. What's more, it is that sending services and repair missions to a flagship telescope marks a significant change for NASA. For example, while the Hubble Space Telescope was serviceable in its service, came at a huge expense to the space shuttle astronauts in low Earth orbit. This will not be the case for the HWO telescope, Clampin says, as NASA will exploit the wealth of private companies that are developing robots to help service NASA's Artemis program of lunar exploration. And because robotic servicing is part of the architecture and philosophy of the HWO, he says, adding that the extra distance of L2 is not a great challenge. This means that doing so will not only extend the life of the HWO mission by installing new instruments, as was previously done for Hubble, but the servicing will also allow flexibility in development. For instance, say, if one instrument proved tricky to get ready for launch, astronomers will now be able to add it later on. And while extending the life of the mission always looks good to funders, making it more palatable to Congress is Clampin and the other scientists involved in this project's first big challenge. This is because, for instance, it can be noted that just last month, lawmakers allocated $1.51 billion to NASA's astrophysics for the year, a decline of 4% from the previous year, and sadly, astrophysics was one of NASA's 4 science divisions to lose funding. As a result, without funds to start the GoMap, Clampin's goal is to first start repurposing some existing technological developments funding to support small studies of the trade-offs of different designs. After that, he said, he will work with stakeholders to align funding. And if you didn't catch on, that's just a polite way of saying that for the HWO to succeed, NASA and the astronomical community needs to get Congress on board with the idea. With that said, what do you think about NASA's futuristic telescope to hunt for alien Earths? Do you think that Congress should give in and support the campaign, or do you think there's no possible way to find alien life on other planets? Let us know in the comments section below. Also, if you've enjoyed watching this video, do press the like and tap the subscribe buttons to stay notified and keep watching amazing videos about space telescopes, NASA news, and other space updates. See you in our next video.